Hey, let's launch into the Business on Purpose podcast and get you liberated from the chaos of working in your business. I had a heroic small business owner recently tell me in their conference room, we're growing, but I feel more frustrated than I've ever felt. I feel like I've hit a wall. We're growing, but I feel like I've hit a wall. Some of you might feel that. Some of you might be thinking, my goodness, give me growth, and I would love to have that growth. Well, vision is where you start, mybusinessonpurpose.com/vision. But if you're hitting a ceiling and it's growth, but you kind of feel worse than you do, maybe even feel a little bit more chaotic, a little bit more confused, I think I know what's going on. And it's what was going on in this particular situation. And in a bizarre set, I had this same conversation about 3 times yesterday in the conference rooms of heroic small business owners. And so I thought, you know what, this is critical mass. I need to share this on the podcast. Here's what I think is happening. I think you're hitting what John Maxwell called the leadership ceiling. I think the term is the law of the lid. And the law of the lid essentially brings about the idea that the leadership of those around will only grow at the same height that the leadership of, in this situation, the owner of the business. So if you as the owner of the business are capped in your leadership, you're not growing, you're not developing, you're not pushing, then the people who are around you are going to be necessarily capped in their leadership. Now, let's say that you're growing and developing, but your key leaders are not. Well, what's happening there is you're growing and developing, but you're not transferring that growth and development to your key leaders. And no fault on you. Well, no, let me take that back. It is your fault, but it's not to get down on you. What we have to do as leaders, and it's really hard to do. It's really, really hard to do. You have to make a conscious decision, but what we have to do as leaders is we have to then bake intentionality into the leadership that we bring to our key leaders. So let me give you some examples. What is intentionality, step by step? What does that look like? If we get down to, as Nacho Libre said, the nitty-gritty. Sorry, I may or may not do another Nacho Libre impersonation again. But it is a funny movie. Okay, so what do we do step by step in order to increase the ceiling, the capacity of leadership? Well, let's go back to what my friend John Wigington told me recently. Walk in wisdom and peace will flourish. Walk in wisdom and peace will flourish. Let's take the first part of that. Walk in wisdom. Well, what does it mean to walk? Walking has more of a connotation of being very methodical, being very slow, being very consistent. I'm just simply walking, step by step by step. Or in our case in small business, day by day or week by week. There's a very methodical nature with the idea of walking. It's not a sprint. It's not even a long distance run. It's just a walk, step by step. So I want you to think about that as you're leading your key leaders. One of the things that I would highly recommend if you want to implement, execute, take action on this idea of increasing capacity, increasing the lid of the leadership of your key team members, is I want you to begin to build a little plan where you're just walking. That might be a daily huddle. That might be a once weekly meeting where you're checking in intentionally around the idea of leadership. Walk in wisdom. So let's take the second part of that. What is wisdom? Well, I want you to think about the things right now. Go ahead and in your mind and think about where are the places. Let's imagine that they're wells, like water wells. Where are the places, the wells, where I go to draw wisdom? When I need wisdom in making a decision about my marriage, my kids, my faith, my business, where are the wells that I go to and draw? In fact, I'm driving to one right now. I'm driving to one of those wells right now. It's my Thursday morning time with the 2 guys that I meet with every single week. And every single Thursday we come together and we talk about things of the Bible. We talk about things about our family. Talk about things very, very kind of deep, serious things about our family and our business and our marriage and our parenting and all that. We share everything. And that's one of the wells that I go to. Another well that I go to is books. In the words of Thomas Jefferson, I cannot live without books. I used to be able to live without books, but now I can't really breathe without books. because I realize that within books inherent, I get the wisdom of other people. Right now I'm reading a book by Jim Koch, who is the founder of Sam Adams Brewery. Fascinating, insightful read into the growth of the business, whether you like beer or not. Another massive place that I go on a consistent basis is God's Word, the Bible. I draw from the well of the Bible. And I, this year, am doing the Daily Audio Bible. It's a podcast. You can just search Daily Audio Bible. It's a guy named Brian, and he reads through the Bible in 12 months. Conferences are a well that I go to. Mentors are a well that I go to. Aaron, Dan, John, my dad, Bob Roberts, some of these other guys. These are wells that I go to. These are men who are older, more experienced, farther along spiritually, farther along in business than I am. So when you walk in wisdom, you want to set up a regular touch point. That's the walking. And then the wisdom is you want to create a simple little plan for your key leaders. One of those plans might be to get them a coach. That's right. Not only are you coaching yourself, which Bill Gates said it, everybody needs a coach, but your key leaders need a coach. I've got a couple of heroic small business owners that in the past 12 months, they've invested heavily in coaches for their key leaders. They spent a lot of money on coaching for themselves and for their key leaders. And you know what? They're seeing a pretty hearty return on that investment, both in dollars in their business, in growth in their marriage and their family, and growth in their leadership. You can create a metric for it and track it. So surrounding them with coaching, surrounding them in a mastermind setting, surrounding them with books, put them on a plan. Hey, I'd like for you to read 4 books this year, 1 a quarter, and here are the books I'd like for you to read. If you don't know what to read, come to our Facebook group. Join our Facebook group, Systematize My Business. Go to Facebook, simply search Systematize My Business, and we'll get you in there and you can ask book questions and we'll provide those for you. And don't discount the opportunity to spend time with you. Make that a part of the plan. Intentional coaching time from you where you can simply talk about the situations they're in. We call that the film room. Set up a film room once a week, 20 minutes. You guys sit down and you say, hey, let's sit back. After every football game, we'd always go to the film room. Let's look at the film. So give me the situation. What happened? Let me help you walk through that. Walk in wisdom. And what's the result? Peace will flourish. You've got an incredible opportunity to lead the people you get to work with. And by the way, you might say, well, I don't have a big staff, Scott. Guess what? We don't either. Our little team, we're all virtual. It's virtual team members. We don't have a big staff, but we treat everybody like they're a family. And we're not perfect. We're broken. We're fragmented. But we meet 3 times a week for a daily huddle, an additional time a week for our weekly team meeting, and we're constantly touching base and trying to invest in our team wherever we can. Hey, listen, I don't know if anybody's told you, but you're a hero to us because you make courageous decisions and you take courageous action because you're a heroic small business owner. I just want to tell you thank you. And thanks for investing some time in yourself on this podcast. We'll see you next time, right here on the Business on Purpose podcast.